So after removing the engine, I removed the valve covers, the timing chain cover. We're going to inspect the timing chain, the guides. We're going to replace the oil seal, crankshaft oil seal here. No big deal. If you have an oil seal leak at the back and it's your back crankshaft oil seal, this is what you're going to be looking at. This is the rear oil seal on the DeLorean. It is incorporated inside this housing. And a number of times when I've been doing this oil seal or diagnosing the fault, it turned out to be this little gasket here. It's wafer thin, and a lot of times it'll crack and allow oil to leak out. You'll assume or presume it's the rear seal, when in fact it's the gasket. So my advice is, when you do the oil seal, remove the housing and replace the gasket as standard procedure. That's it pretty much. We'll do a go through of the engine, valve adjustments, do all the seals. A little thing I do, we have an engineering shop up the road, and for a bucket, I threw everything into the bucket, give it a wash, drop it off with them, and they re-anodize it for me. So you get all your nuts and bolts, all your pulleys, and that little bucket there costs £25, but $30, and brightens up the engine no end. So most places are quite local to you, so if you check around, you'd be surprised who's actually doing that and can do that for you very cheaply. So I'm going to show you an old mechanic's trick. I have all the gaskets for the car except the lower gasket for the timing chain cover. So what I've done is I have applied some engine oil to the surface of the housing, and I'll use that to make a template for me. Set it down nice and square on the gasket paper. Go ahead and lift, and there's our image that we'll mark out, cut out, and we'll have ourselves a gasket. So that's the engine back together with all its new gaskets, its seals, timing chains and timing chain guides. I went ahead and pulled the engine for this reason. Draining the oil, I noticed a little bit of plastic in its dredgings, and I had my suspicions of what it was. So I pulled the engine, and sure enough, a little piece of plastic had broken off one of the timing chain guides. So at that point I decided to pull the engine and strip it down, and sure enough, that's what I found. So I changed the chains and guides while I was in the engine. Some of you may have noticed that this is not the original engine to the DeLorean, it's the later B280E. The reason why I went with that, it's a better engineered engine. It has better gas flow heads, higher compression, and it came originally with EFI, which I wanted to install in my car. In order to install EFI in my car, I went with a standalone ECU from a company in England called Emerald. You can see the trigger wheel on there. That basically tells the ECU the position of the crankshaft relative to top dead center. And I designed and made this little pickup gadget to read the segmented wheel. You can see the air gap there. Also, to show you my headers and exhausts, I made these myself. I purchased an exhaust header set from a Porsche 2.7 Boxster engine, and what I did was I cut all the bends on it and the collector pipe. I made, or had this a plate made from a CNC shop. Then I tacked all the angles of the pipes into position and then removed it from the car and welded them all together. Actually turned out quite good, I think. So that's her, ready to go in. Next video we'll be doing for you. We'll be test driving the car, making sure everything's good. As always, thanks for watching.